Jason Bermas, one of the producers from the Loose Change video, and we're going to ask him a few questions. We're at the Freedom and Law Conference.
I think it's the Freedom Law School Conference.
Freedom Law School Conference. And I guess the first question I want to ask you about the final cut is, just for people who don't know, what is really the most substantial thing that you've changed about the new video?
Well, I think that what we've done is the second edition has allowed us to conduct our own investigation. We've been able to go throughout the country, interview CIA analysts, physics professors, eyewitnesses to the Pentagon strike, firefighters within the World Trade Center, etc. And we've really created a new movie from the ground up that's really just asking the tough questions and pointing out that the fact the government and mainstream media alike have lied to us about this very, very pivotal event in American history.
You had a source who actually was in World Trade Center 7
That's true.
On that day. And I know who it is. Does this person intend to come forward fully at all?
We'll see. Dylan actually was scheduled to have lunch with him last week while he was in New York. Unfortunately, he had a family matter. He couldn't do it. He seemed like a really great guy when I met him. I carry around his interview on my phone to make sure that people know that this man, oh absolutely, it's on my phone right now, that he does exist. But we were able to include his news footage from that day. When we started playing clips of the audio from the interview, which was a 20-minute interview, he started getting death threats, and he was 2 years away from retirement, and he got his job threatened. And he was very adamant about keeping his job and being able to retire. And I remember that day we had to wait around an extra hour just so he could get the okay from his uppers to do the interview. And they said, well, you just can't tell what agency you work for. Okay, no problem. The problem was that there had been some other corroborating evidence which did tell where he was from. He was in a few local newspapers. He was actually in the FEMA report. Him and Michael Hess, the other gentleman who was blown up that day. Now, I tried to contact Michael Hess before this other gentleman because I didn't know who he was. And I called Michael Hess's office, I emailed them, I faxed them, no response. Michael Hess was the city's corporation counsel, and now he heads up Giuliani Partners. And him and this other gentleman were in Building 7 prior to either building collapsing. They were in the Office of Emergency Management on the 23rd floor, taken by a freight elevator by the triage of police officers that were downstairs. When they realized, when they got in there, that no one was there, he said that he saw still steaming coffee, half-eaten sandwiches. It looked like it was evacuated at a moment's notice. They got worried. One of his supervisors, he gives him a call. He's like, I'm here, I'm waiting for people. He's like, wait a minute, where are you? He's like, I'm in Building 7. The supervisor got real quiet, according to him. He said, listen, get out of that building right now and call me when you're okay. So he did so. Him and Hess were looking around for some kind of an exit. They found the stairwell. He said he was very upset because Hess was very slow, and he was all worried. He had been there. Hess was there to meet the mayor. He was there for Giuliani. Apparently Giuliani was there earlier in the day, according to this man's testimony. And he was really annoyed that he was so slow. He was like trying to save his life here, and then all of a sudden, they get down to the 8th floor, a huge explosion. Says it blew him upwards. He was hanging onto an awning. He went over to one of the windows, smashed it out with a fire extinguisher, was in contact with police on the bottom. He wanted to get out of there. He was going to try to ride a hose down 8 floors. And they told him, no, the fire hose isn't going to hold you. Wait up there. He said it was real hot, really uncomfortable. Says he heard all types of explosions throughout the day. Finally, around 1 o'clock, they came up and got him. When they got into the lobby, he said he didn't even recognize the lobby was there. He said, there was nice escalators in the lobby when he got there, the floors. He said he was stepping over dead bodies. Now, we know with the official report,
no dead bodies in World Trade Center.
No dead bodies. And, we've had one confirmation of one, I think, member of the Secret Service who died. Made a couple of mainstream papers. But he didn't say he stepped over a dead body. He said he was stepping over dead bodies. So it begs the question, if people died in Building 7, why has that not been investigated at all? And then you find out, this house, the largest CIA base outside of Washington, the largest Secret Service field office, the SEC, the Department of Defense, the IRS, and of course the emergency bunker, the OEM, Office of Emergency Management, which we cover in the new movie. We actually have video inside so people can get a feel for what's in there. I mean, this command bunker was state-of-the-art, hundreds of television screens hooked to the Pentagon at all times, and basically where everybody was supposed to go in the case of a terrorist attack or a natural disaster. And that didn't seem to happen that morning. Why?
Well, we also know that the SEC had offices inside of that building.
That's also correct. The Securities and Exchange Commission was there.
What was happening at that time at Enron?
Well, we had Enron investigations. We also had investigations into the Federal Reserve selling off their gold, and numerous other, important, ensnaring investigations. I think one of them was the SEC scandal that involved Neil Bush. It might have been Neil Bush or Marvin. I'm not 100%. I don't want to speculate, but there were tons of investigations that were just dropped because
all that paper flying around in Manhattan that day. Yeah. And about the dead bodies in World Trade Center 7, from our own interview of Thomas Keene in Georgetown, Texas, he says the reason that they didn't include it in the 9/11 report, because the official line is there were no dead bodies.
Loss of life.
No loss of life in that building.
Yeah, and we try to show that he's a complete liar. He also said that there was no evidence that there was a controlled demolition there. Well, the molten metal alone, the free fall speed, the fact that you can see the squibs go off in the building, and it's a 47-story skyscraper that didn't damage the sides of the other two buildings it was next to, are all clear indications that this indeed was a controlled demolition.
Absolutely. Well, Jason Bermas, we appreciate it. No, just one last question.
Sure.
What future projects, if any, are y'all working on, or individually? Or?
I am trying to work on my own movie. It's going to be based on the New World Order, trying to get the word out that this is not a wrestling tag team or a wrestling organization. This is what your corporate and government masters talk about openly, and it's their term for it. And I want to show people what their term means. To them, it is a globalized government. From Gordon Brown to George H.W. Bush to Gary Hart to Yeltsin to Gorbachev, they've all been on record talking about it. So why is it in the backdrop? And why don't people understand that this is what's coming?
Very good. Well, we appreciate everything. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.